Scrumble Beginnings, Sprint for Progress. This is Adam Bilby speaking, the Scrum Master, and you'll also be hearing from Garrett Clement, Daniel Rose, and Matlock White. So, as a player, I want Kasara to make noises so that I feel more immersed in the game. And Kasara will make a smoke bomb noise, Kasara makes an attack noise, and Kasara will make a dodge noise. We'll also be featuring noises for Taro. As a player, I want Taro to make noises so that I may feel more immersed in the game. Taro makes a windmill shuriken noise. Taro makes a multi-shuriken noise. And when As a player, I want to transition from one level to another after I complete a level so that I may progress through the game. When the level ends, Nin appears at a new level. As a player, I want enemies to spawn when I walk across certain areas so that I may have more challenges to face. When Nin crosses the threshold for the event, enemies are spawned. As a player, I want a different music track to play when I progress to another level so that I know which level I'm in. Okay, so we're about to go to the next level. As you can hear. And now these pink squares, they do the events. And so they spawn Kisara as an event. And you can hear the new music. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Garrett Clement, and I'm here to show you some of what we got done during the sprint. As a player, I want to be able to press keys so that I can perform a combo off of Nin's heavy attack. When Nin uses his heavy attack, he has a window of opportunity to perform his heavy attack combo. If Nin misses his window of opportunity, he finishes his heavy attack and transitions back to his neutral combat state. When Nin hits the window, a shockwave is sent out in the direction he's facing. After the heavy attack combo, Nin must wait half a second before he can perform any action. So we've got Nin here. If we do a heavy attack, you can see we just do a heavy attack because we missed our window of opportunity. But if we hit our window of opportunity, you can see we sent out a shockwave. And if we do it this way, we'll send out a shockwave this way in the direction that we're facing. And while we're doing the attack, you can see that we can't move. The next user story. As a player, I want to be able to enter a throwing state so that I can throw shurikens. Acceptance criteria. When Nin is in the neutral state and the right mouse button is clicked, he enters the throwing state. When Nin is in the throwing state, the player can throw a shuriken by pushing the left mouse button. When Nin is in the shuriken state, he can throw a total of 5 shurikens before returning to the neutral state. Nin must wait 0.25 of a second before he can throw another shuriken. If the player clicks the right mouse button and Nin is in the throwing state, he transitions back to the neutral state. Okay, we got Nin here. So if we right click, we can enter our throwing state where we throw our shurikens. And you can see that I threw out 5, and that transitioned me back to my movement state. And you'll also know notice I can only throw them so fast. That's the 0.25 second delay. And if I can't move when I'm in this throwing state, so if I right click one more time, that'll transition me back to my neutral combat state, which makes me be able to move around. The next user story. As a ninja sage, I want to be able to use projectile like magic to kill the player. Acceptance criteria. The sage ninja archetype uses range spells to attack Nin. So we've got our mage here, and this is our mage archetype, and you can see that he casts spells to try to kill Nin. Next user story. As a ninja sage, I want to be able to chant spells, then cast a spell after the chant so that I can kill the player. Acceptance criteria. The ninja sage transitions to a chanting state from his neutral combat state. After a certain period of time, the sage ninja casts a spell at Nin. So we've got our sage ninja here, and initially he's in his neutral state, but then he transitions to his chanting state, and after a period of time, he'll cast a spell. And so he cast a spell, then he went back to the neutral state, and now he's back in the chanting state, casting another spell. The next user story. As a ninja sage, I want to be able to use a soul flame attack so that I may kill the player. Acceptance criteria. The ninja sage launches a soul flame. The soul flame is fired towards Jin's current location. The soul flame moves at a rate of 20 pixels. So we've got our game here. This is our Ninja Sage, and you can see that he just cast a soul flame spell at me, which moved towards my current location at about a rate of 20 pixels per second. The next user story. As a Ninja Sage, I want to have a chance to use a special attack so that I can kill the player. Acceptance criteria. The Ninja Sage has a 40% chance to cast a Flame Dragon attack. If the probability is successful, it takes 8 seconds to cast the Flame Dragon spell. When the Flame Dragon is launched, it will travel left or right depending on Nin's location. The Flame Dragon will move in a sign-like pattern as it travels across the screen. So we have our Flame Ninja here, and he just cast the Dragon Flame attack. And we can see that it's moving to the left across the screen because I was to the left of him, and when I moved right, he cast it to the right of him. It takes about 8 seconds to cast, and you can see that it's not happening every time. There's only a 40% chance probability that he'll cast it. And here's the next user story. As a Ninja Sage, when I am hit and the player is close enough, I want to teleport away from the player so that I can evade him. Acceptance criteria. When the Ninja Sage is hit and Nin is within 50 pixels, he chants a teleportation spell after he finishes the spell he is casting. After a slight delay, he teleports away from Nin. The teleport will travel the Sage 250 pixels away from Nin's location. Okay, so we've got our Ninja Sage here, which he's about to cast Flame Dragon, so we don't want to get in his way or he'll kill us. So if I jump down here and do damage to him, he will teleport away from me, trying to escape me after he finishes casting the spell, and you can see there was a slight delay there, and he moved about 250 pixels. If I hit him, and then get away from him in time, he won't teleport away, because I'm not within 50 pixels. And the last user story. As a Ninja Sage, after I have teleported away, I want to counterattack the player with a Soul Flame so that I can kill him. Acceptance criteria. After the Sage has teleported away, he quick casts a Soul Flame spell at Nin's location. Okay, we've got our Sage Ninja here, and if we wait just a second, he'll cast that spell. Get close enough to him, we'll hit him, and after he finishes casting the spell he is right now, he'll teleport away. And after he teleports away, you can see that he quick casts a Soul Flame at my target location.
Hello, my name is Daniel Rose, and I'm here to show you the Sprint 4 user stories from me, which were mostly with graphics. So let's get started. The first one is that as an enemy, I want an idle animation so that I don't appear as a static image when I'm not moving. It's got two major acceptance criteria. If the enemy is not moving or attacking, the idle animation is rendered, and the idle animation renders with the game figure facing the last direction that they were moving. So let's go take a look at that in action. So right now our enemy that we're going to use for the demonstration of this user story is Rai, and I found another concept art that's similar to the standard concept art we're using for Nin, but this one is a girl ninja, and so we'll use that for the demonstration. And I've turned off the other enemies just so that you can actually see this, otherwise it's a little too noisy on the screen. There's just so much going on when everything's on at once. So she's always going to come closer to me, so when she stops and gets next to me, you can see her idle animation there, and if I jump over her and go this way, you can see that she gets the idle animation from the other direction. So the idle animation takes place in between her attacks, and then whichever way she was facing last, she continues to face that way. So that's how we know we have the idle animation meeting our acceptance criteria. Alright, let's take a look at our next user story. As an enemy, I want movement animations so that my model appears to be running and jumping as I move around the screen. So we've got three acceptance criteria. They're pretty standard for our animations so far throughout the project. When moving left, we want the move left animation to render. When moving right, we want the move right animation to render. And we want the movement animation to transition to and from the other animations fluidly. Now right now, there's only the two different movement and the idle animations, but we want to make sure that those are transitioning fluidly at this time. Alright, let's go take a look at that. Alright, so here we are. Right off the bat, we can see the move left animation there. So let's go over to the animation. And if we stop moving, we can see the idle animation for a moment. And then you can see it transitions back to the move left just fine. We've got all of her animations transitioning and playing based on which direction her movement is. So we've hit our acceptance criteria for those. Let's take a look at the last user story. So our next user story is that as Nin, I want a death animation so that I appear to be dying when I run out of health. This is an important part to any game. Unfortunately, you're not going to survive every time. In order for the game to be fun, you have to be able to die, and we want to be able to tell that we've died. So we've got 3 acceptance criteria here. The first one is that when Nin's health reaches 0, the death animation is played. The death animation renders with Nin facing the same direction as he was when his health hit 0. And the death animation remains on the final frame once it's complete, rather than cycling through the other animations, because you're not going to be moving anymore once you're dead. So let's go take a look at that one in action. Alright, so I'll run through this one twice, one with me dying both directions so that we're sure that we hit that last acceptance criteria that the death animation plays the same direction he was facing. So here we're facing right, go ahead and get hit by all these things, and then boom, you just saw him die there, and he died facing right, and also I'm hitting left and right now, and I can't move him anymore, and he's dead. And you can see there that it's also stuck on that last frame of the death animation. It's not continuing to replay. So let's do that one more time, but this time we will die facing the other direction so that we know that we've met the acceptance criteria that the death animation plays with him facing the direction he was facing when he died. So let's go ahead and start this up. We're going to run back over to that sort of death ball shooting out of the ground. Run past right here. But this time we're going to be facing left. Let ourselves die here. And boom, we saw the death animation render with him facing left. And stuck on the final frame. And if I hit the movement keys, I can't get any movement. So we know we've hit that last acceptance criteria for this one. Alright, so that concludes my user stories for this week. Thank you very much for watching.
Hello, my name is Matlock White, and today I'm going to be walking you through the epic user stories for Sprint 4. Now, as an enemy projectile, we wanted there to be different attacks depending on the projectile type. We have many different projectiles in this program, such as windmill shuriken, smoke bombs, fire dragon. We have plenty of different ones, and we wanted to make sure that they all had their own unique aspect to them to make sure that it feels more various in the combat sense. Now, in order to have all these and have them all implementable and callable, we wanted to make sure that there was an abstract projectile class. We decided that that was the best cause of action for that, and I'm going to walk you through some of the different functionalities of these projectiles. Now, as an enemy windmill shuriken, we wanted each one of the projectiles to have their own dimensions, their own damage, essentially everything that makes them unique. The difference for the windmill shurikens, it should be a 30 by 30 pixel image instead of the 3 by 3. It should travel at an angle from its origin point until it reaches the ground, and then once it reaches the ground, it should travel in a new path parallel to that of the ground. If it hits Nin, it should deal 30 damage as opposed to the 10 damage that the shuriken normally deals. And as you can see here, we have our Taro. He's the one who launches our windmill shuriken. Right now, he is currently launching normal shuriken. You can see this is a windmill shuriken. It passes through at a different rate, and it can actually pass through the objects. Here is the windmill shuriken one more time. Now, our smoke bomb is different than any of our other projectiles in that our smoke bomb is designed not to deal damage. It's just meant to be kind of obscurity in terms of visuals, so Nin can't see him. It's just meant to be an escape tool for Taro. Now, the smoke bomb should travel from Taro's current location 10 pixels to the right or left, depending on which location Nin is. The smoke bomb is very different in the fact that it actually doesn't deal any damage to Nin. It should start off at the usual 3 by 3 pixels, and then
grow upon making contact with the ground into 100 by 100 pixel in height and width. After it reaches the 100 pixels height and width, it should then be destroyed. As you can see, we again have our Taro character. That's who launches the smoke bombs. Terribly sorry about that. It's Kasara who launches the smoke bomb and not Taro. As you can see, we now have our Kasara character loaded up. And if we try to approach Kasara, she creates the smoke bomb, and it blows up into that 100 by 100 pixel diameter. She launches it directly from her current location. It falls very fast, reaches the ground, and starts growing once it reaches the ground. Now, we also wanted to implement the actual collision detection and hitboxes for our enemy archetypes for their damaging abilities. So for this sprint, we got that done for Kasara and Rai and the rest of our enemy archetypes. Taro is the only one who doesn't have any, since Taro creates his own objects as he attacks, using shurikens and the windmill shuriken. For Kasara's Shadow Strike, we wanted each one of these different hitboxes to progress in their own unique pattern, so that way it felt more like each one of the characters is different than the previous one. For Kasara, we had her Shadow Strike. She creates a hitbox at a 10 by 30 pixel dimension right in front of her at her midpoint. This should not change for her Shadow Strike. It should just be a one-hit wonder, just a quick little light attack. It's what leads into her second hit on her combo, where it starts getting interesting and tricky. For her Vanishing Strike, which is the second instance of her combo, the hitbox should actually not be created until Kasara has technically vanished, and she begins after she's done traversaling backwards. Once she's done with that and she's vanished, the hitbox should be rendered as she speeds across the screen over to the opposite side of wherever Nin's current location is. The hitbox should remain and proceed at the same traversal rate that Kasara moves across the screen, thus hitting Nin with it. The hitbox should always be destroyed for any of these archetypes whenever they change states. Here we have our Kasara archetype yet again. She actually does not attack until Nin is no longer facing her. So for this one, we're going to continue facing her and demonstrate the Vanishing Strike and the Shadow Strike. Here's the Shadow Strike. That was the Shadow Strike. You see it just goes out and goes right back towards her. And then this is the second hit of the Vanishing Strike. It isn't created until she is actually behind and banished from Nin. And lastly, for Rai for this week, we were able to get done his collision box detections. He has two of them for his two different attack states. He has the Viper Strike, which creates one hitbox at a 10 by 30 pixel at Rai's midpoint in the direction that Nin is, either to the left or right of wherever Rai is currently facing. If he's facing to the left, that means that Nin's to the left, and the hitbox will generate to the left. If he's facing the right, same thing for the right. For Rai's animation, the hitbox is different in that it actually traversals for his Viper Strike. It should go out and then back into Rai. Nin is currently 50 pixels away, and so it should do the full reach all the way 50 pixels out from Rai and all the way back 50 pixels back into Rai. That way you could get the most amount of damage from Rai's current location. For Steel Twister, the hitbox again originates at Rai's midpoint. The only difference is it alternates very rapidly between Rai's left side and right side, as in the side that's facing Nin and the side that's not facing Nin. And it flips that very, very rapidly for 2 seconds or until Nin is no longer within 50 pixels of Rai. As you can see, we have our new cute Rai character. Rai reaches within the 50 pixel range and begins to launch his ability out and back into Rai. And now we're going to stay in there, and you can see how it's alternating very rapidly between Nin and Rai. And we got Nin killed. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this sprint.
This week we got even closer to having something that looks like a real game with 4 different enemies being fully fleshed out, having noises on many of our enemies, having good animations on many of our enemies, and having Nin have a big set of options of what to do. So I'm hoping next week that we're going to accomplish a fully fleshed out level or two. Thank you very much.